What's going on, beautiful people? And welcome back to another comic book review video. I'm your majestic Sayo for SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to this channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. And today, folks, a new day begins for everyone's favorite green monster. For an incredible era starts with Hulk. Issue number 1, written by Marvel's golden boy Donny Cates, with the art by the spectacular Ryan Ottley. Now, spinning out of the free comic book day issue from a couple months back, the uncontrollable rage of the Hulk has reached an all-new level, and nobody, including the Avengers, nor the rest of Earth's mightiest heroes, are prepared to handle it. Thus, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Alrighty folks, so our story begins like any Incredible Hulk comic book should, with some smashing, as we see Big Green himself smashing away at a door, an incredibly powerful door, one that the Hulk has apparently been smashing at for at least a few dozen or so times. And while the Hulk is smashing away, we get some off-panel narration from Doctor Strange, and he tells us that he's always had this theory about the Hulk, and that he's never shared this before because it scares the living crap out of him. And when something scares us, we mentally push it back. The belief being is that the more I push it away, the idea becomes less real. Now, Strange has always thought of the Hulk as the manifestation of his trauma that Bruce experienced as a kid, the physical and mental abuse Bruce suffered under his father Brian Banner. But what Strange is suggesting is a possible what if. What if Bruce's trauma has nothing to do with the Hulk? What if the Hulk exists to simply protect us, to protect the world, from Banner, from Bruce Banner? We then switch over to Bruce, who's getting ready to do something that he's seemingly been planning on doing for quite some time. And as he preps himself, we see Betty approach him, asking him what he's doing. And she tells Bruce that she's worried about him. She tells him that he's hurting himself, and that he's hurting him. Now, from this exchange, the child, the him that Betty's referring to, we can kind of assume that she's talking about the Hulk. Betty then tells Bruce that he shouldn't blame himself for what happened in El Paso, but this is when Bruce abruptly starts to scream, telling Betty that he doesn't blame himself. He blames him. He blames the Hulk. And Bruce just continues to explode. He's saying that he has had enough, and that at the end of the day, he's never wanted any of this. He never wanted to be a superhero, or a defender, an avenger. He never wanted to be a monster. He wanted to discover things. He wanted to invent, push the boundaries of what's possible. He wanted to become a man of science. Bruce then mentions about what happened back in El Paso, and he tells her that he is getting worse. One of these days he's going to come out, and I'll never be able to wake up again. The Hulk is immortal, Betty. I'm not. And with that, Bruce tells Betty to get out of her head, and to never return. Ooh. And as the panel zooms out, we see that Betty was never there to begin with. Their entire conversation, everything was in Bruce's head. Now, this is where we pick up with Doctor Strange. And right now, he's basically holding a meeting with several of the Marvel heroes. You have the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. You essentially have many of the Earth's heavy hitters. And after hearing Strange's theory regarding the Hulk and Bruce Banner, he's essentially telling everyone that following the events of El Paso, Bruce's mind ended up getting fractured into various parts. Now, what Strange is referring to, something about El Paso, is something we haven't seen. Clearly something bad happened following Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk run, which resulted in Bruce's mind getting fractured into various parts. But whatever the case may be, Bruce's mind ended up getting fractured, and according to Strange, he's using these parts of his mind to turn the Hulk into a starship. And that is when we immediately switch over to the Hulk, beating the living crap out of Iron Man's Hulkbuster suit. Now, Strange informs our heroes that Bruce has split his mind into 3 distinct parts. He's modified and upgraded the external frame with tech that he very violently stole from AIM, and then somehow he surgically implanted said tech into Hulk's own body. He's built himself an immense mind palace, one in which Doctor Strange has never seen before. And at the very heart of it all, where the Hulk's mind should be, sits Bruce Banner. Basically, Bruce's mind is the captain's seat. His mind is piloting Starship Hulk. And while Hulk is continuing to beat the living crap out of Iron Man, And while Iron Man himself is trying to hold off the Hulk from entering one of his Stark holdouts, Strange explains the third part to Starship Hulk. Now, as we all know, in order to make the Hulk's body stay in Hulk form, he needs to be kept angry. And in some way, somehow, Bruce managed to cage the Hulk. Bruce placed the Hulk in what he calls the engine room, and with the push of his throttle, he controls the Hulk's rage by essentially keeping him angry within the engine room. Because while Bruce pilots the Hulk persona is trying to punch his way out, and so by feeding the Hulk with infinite amounts of enemies, he's basically feeding the fire. Bruce Banner is giving the Hulk some tiki oil, and by the way folks, don't fucking use tiki oil at a bonfire. Just don't ever do that. I digress. Now switching back to the current situation, Hulk is finally able to destroy the Hulkbuster armor, and as Hulk passes Tony Stark, he lets Stark know that he didn't come here for a fight. Rather, he came for what's been stored inside. And what is stored inside the Stark warehouse is Project Arc. Now check it folks. Ever since Stark piloted the Celestial during the King in Black event, Stark has been reprogramming the Celestial energies in order to create a wormhole to a pocket dimension as a sort of fail-safe escape plan to evacuate civilians in case another Marvel event happens where the world shits and burns. And so yeah, Hulk came here to escape Earth through Project Arc, and so that he can get away from everyone. Now Tony begs Hulk not to go inside. He tells him that the map isn't finished and that it isn't safe, but Bruce doesn't give a damn, and with that he ventures through the wormhole, leaving Earth and everyone he loves and cares for behind. Now while this is all going down, we get some off-panel narration from Bruce Banner himself, and he's letting us know, to anyone who hears this message, that he's already gone. He is leaving not because he hates anyone, but because he is scared of us. He's leaving because none of us will know how to deal with him for when he becomes what he becomes. Because in the past, Marvel's heroes have had their little plans, their armored suits, their rocket ships, plans on how to deal with the Hulk should his actions not prove to be in their best interests. But the only difference now is that they aren't dealing with the Hulk. They're dealing with Bruce Banner. And Bruce promises that none of us have a plan to deal with him. Because Bruce isn't controlled by rage. Bruce is fueled by it. Bruce Banner is fueled by rage. And that, folks, was Hulk issue number 1. And holy crap, this was one hell of an explosive issue. Donny Cates, Marvel's golden child, has traded one Marvel monster for another. And this series goes off. Quite literally, goes off with smashing success. I think my favorite part about this story is the book's callback to an event which took place in El Paso, Texas. Something obviously terrible happened there, and I love the dread and the mystery surrounding it. It sort of comes off as if the Hulk basically annihilated an entire city, like he went full GTA on every single person, and so I'm definitely curious to see, as the series progresses, as to what the hell happened. Like, my god Hulk, bro, what did you do? I'm also a fan of the way Cates is driving the Hulk in this comic, on how the whole Starship Hulk operates. I'm in love with the concept, and it's creative takes like these, which is why I think Donny Cates was the perfect person to pick up Hulk, following Al Ewing's incredible, pun intended, Immortal Hulk series. I think we're at this stage now with the Hulk where we need a concept that's way out there in order to drive the Hulk and his narrative forward. And as much as I love reading or seeing the Hulk pound shit up in the desert, I think that style of Hulk storytelling is in the past. I honestly don't think we can just tell stories anymore about a guy who turns into a green rage monster and smashes shit up. There's gotta be this creative take, and though Cates' Starship concept isn't as fucked up crazy as Al Ewing's approach, it's still fresh. Plus, this is only the first issue, so, don't go off comparing this issue to Al Ewing's 50-issue run. And obviously the book's art is amazing. Ryan Ottley is absolutely perfect for this book. And I swear to God, please don't let this book suffer the Amazing Spider-Man Nick Spencer syndrome. Just let magic happen, Marvel. Make Ottley stay on the book. Overall, Hulk issue number 1 is off to a great start, and I'm definitely curious to see where the Hulk's journey takes him. Hulk issue number 1 gets a solid 8.5 out of 10. And guys, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button in order to show your support to the channel. And tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue number 2? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. And until the next video, Peace.